Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about the quadratic formula, which is lesson 4.4. The interesting thing about the quadratic formula is that it can be used to solve any quadratic. It doesn't have to be a factorable quadratic, it doesn't have to be nice integers, it can be a quadratic that has solutions that are square roots, imaginary, fractions, decimals, anything, and this will always work. The one thing that you have to keep in mind with this is that the equation has to always be in standard form so that you can identify an a, b, and c value. And ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0 is the standard form. Remember that we're setting y equal to 0 in order to solve our quadratic. So the quadratic formula itself is this, and it looks a little ugly, but we're going to break it down into pieces so that we can easily use this to solve any quadratic equation. So x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, and then that is all divided by 2 times a. I want to break out a specific piece of the quadratic formula, and it's this piece right here, b squared minus 4ac. That is called the discriminant, and the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac again, and this is the piece that you always want to calculate first. And the reason that you want to do that is that the discriminant gives us some interesting information about the types of solutions that we're going to have. And also, notice that there's a plus and minus in front of this square root that holds the discriminant. So that means you can't just put this entire equation into a calculator or into Desmos scientific calculator. You have to do this in pieces, and the discriminant is the piece that you want to work with first. So again, this is going to tell us how many solutions we have, whether we have 1 or 2, and if they are real or imaginary. Remember that we talked about imaginary solutions with the imaginary unit I in them last time. So let's talk a little bit more about the discriminant. We're going to call the discriminant D. So D for discriminant. And if D is greater than 0, which means it's positive, then that means that we have 2 real solutions. So 2 real solutions are always going to occur when we have a positive discriminant. And those solutions are just simply where the graph crosses the x-axis. If we only have D is equal to 0, we're going to have 1 real solution. And this 1 real solution is going to be the one point where the graph just kind of comes and touches the x-axis. So it has 1 intercept. Finally, if we have that D is less than 0 or negative, then that means that we're going to have 2 imaginary solutions. And so we're going to be pulling in that imaginary unit I, and notice that we don't cross the x-axis at all in this case. So that is when we get 2 imaginary solutions, is when we don't cross the x-axis. So the parabola is either floating above the x-axis or it's an upside down parabola floating below.